The Closing Time Podcast is back, sponsored by Rocky Hill Accountants. I'm Joe Aguirre. I'll have a brand new co-host, Sanam Salati, who's my broker, my mentor, and my good friend, and one of the most knowledgeable people in Connecticut in the entire real estate industry. We're going to be talking about the latest goings-on. We'll keep you up to date on the market, and we're going to bring on some really great guests all throughout this season, people in all different fields in the industry, like accountants, home inspectors, mortgage reps, and so much more, just to give you a better understanding of the Connecticut real estate market. We're so excited for a brand new season of the Closing Time Podcast, part of the CMG Podcast Network. It's sponsored by Rocky Hill Accountants. Go see Heidi and Glenn Parchman to file your taxes for bookkeeping, business advice, real estate investments, or whatever your accounting needs are, including cryptocurrency. Just visit RockyHillAccountants.com. We'll see you all season long on the Closing Time Podcast.
Attention all basketball fans. CMG Sports presents the Posting Up Podcast, where Lucas Boldick, Sean Scanlon, and Kings A discuss the latest news and topics throughout the NBA. So, if you have a love for basketball, make sure you check out the Posting Up Podcast, live every Tuesday and Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also available for download on every podcast platform.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? Oh! High fly ball, right field. Grossman back, track, wall, see ya! Into the second deck. A grand slam the other way for Aaron Judge, and the Yankees are pouring it on.
For the latest news throughout the sports world, tune in to Sports Talk with R&J every Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And what a game we had last night in Denver between the Nuggets and the Blazers. Game 5 series was tied at two games apiece. And even though the Blazers lost, what a performance by Damian Lillard. He scored 55 points. He had the game-winning three to tie the game in regulation. He had the game-tying three in regulation. He had the game-tying three in the first overtime. But eventually the Nuggets beat the Blazers in double overtime. I mean, what a game. And I just think the difference in this game was, and like I've said all series, the bench of the Nuggets was better than the bench of the Blazers. And a big reason for that was the performance of Monte Morris. He had I think 28 points last night. He had 28 points last night. He hit a bunch of threes. And Michael Porter played well too. He had the big three to put the Nuggets up, and McCollum ended up stepping out of bounds, so the Nuggets ended up winning that game. And this has been a really good series. Game 3 was a really good game. Again, the difference was another role player for the Nuggets stepped up. It was Austin Rivers this time who stepped up in that game. Game 4 was a blowout. Michael Porter was terrible. The whole Nuggets team was pretty much terrible in Game 4. But last night, at home, I still had the Blazers in 6. Now I'm not totally decided on which team I'm picking now, but last night, I mean, Dame Lillard was phenomenal. But the problem with the Blazers was the bench didn't step up, and outside of McCollum, the role players didn't step up for the Blazers. And that's why they're facing elimination again, down 3-2. And for the Nuggets, great performance by Jokic, great performance by Michael Porter Jr., and Monte Morris making the difference coming off the bench. I still like the Blazers in 7. I still do. Because I picked him, to start the series, so I'm not gonna move off it. Justin, are you keeping that same prediction you had? You had Blazers in 7, right? To start?
Yeah, Blazers in 7, yeah.
Are you keeping that same prediction after what you saw last night?
I'm gonna go with the Nuggets to win in 7 now. I'm gonna switch it. I think Portland goes back home, wins game 6, but I think they come back. Denver does and wins game 7 at home. That was an unbelievable game last night. Michael Porter Jr. bounce back game, hit that big three, like a minute 33 left, that three in the corner. Lillard just did not have any help. He had 17 of the team's 19 points in both overtimes. Yeah, McCollum played well, he had 18. He didn't shoot the ball great, but he still had 18 points. Unbelievable game. Yeah, Monte Morris came out of nowhere last night, played well. Austin Rivers, and if guys like that can play well for the Nuggets, then this team is really, really dangerous because of Jokic, because you have to give so much attention to him. Even Aaron Gordon had a double-double last night, and I thought he played pretty well. So this Nuggets team, I think, it's something that gets them going. I think, they were awful game 4. Even Damian Lillard was off game 4, and he thought if Lillard played that bad, there's no way Portland could win a game in this series. But they, Portland able to do nothing in game 4. Now in game 5, Lillard did everything he could, but just they did not, Portland did not have enough to still win this game.
No, they didn't. And the home team got it done. I mean, Damian Lillard, though, absolutely phenomenal. 55 points. You saw some of the shots he made at the end. Those are phenomenal shots. I mean, I think the problem with Lillard is there just isn't another. I mean, McCollum is a very good player. He's not a superstar. That's why Portland can never compete for championships, because they don't have another superstar alongside Damian Lillard. And I've heard, and I'm thinking Damian Lillard should really consider probably leaving Portland, because I just think Portland's not a place where they're really going to, attract free agents. And he's had so many great playoff performances. Those 2 buzzer beaters he had. Remember that buzzer beater he had against the Rockets in 2014, the buzzer beater he had against the Thunder in 2019. So many great playoff performances. But it's very rare we're ever going to see Dame Lillard compete for a championship, because he's in a small market, a place that a lot of free agents don't want to go to, and it's just going to be hard for him to end up competing and winning an NBA championship. But just a phenomenal performance by him. But the big reason the Blazers face elimination is the role players didn't get it done, and the bench didn't get it done. So I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in Game 6 on Thursday night. They go home. I definitely think they win that game. The question is going to be, do they win Game 7? Because I think this series. I think one thing we both know is this series is going 7 either way.
Yeah, I think, it will go 7. It's what teams, what bench, as you mentioned, what bench will step up in Game 7? Who's going to be that one guy that makes a difference in Game 7? Will it be a Morris again? Will it be at Rivers, or could it be like someone off the bench? Simons, Cantor, Carmelo. Who's going to be that guy? And for Lillard, it's, Portland's tried. Again, they went out and got Powell. They got Coventry played well last night. They had McCollum, but they're not LA. They're not, they're not New York. They're not Boston. They don't have the space to be able to bring in another guy with Lillard. And look, and if he ever wanted to leave, and if for some odd reason, if he, does want, say he wants to go somewhere else, how about your Knicks?
I would love Damian Lillard on the Knicks. If the Knicks get Damian Lillard, that's a championship contender. And you heard it here first. If the Knicks get Damian Lillard, championship contender, no doubt. Put Lillard, Barrett, and Randall together. That's a really good big 3. They'd be a contender right there. I would love Damian Lillard coming to the Knicks.
Yeah, they need a guard. That would really put them at that next level. They may have to give up Barrett, though, to get Lillard. You may have to.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I definitely think it's going to be Game 7. I think Denver will have enough, though, to overcome Lillard and the Trailblazers to get it done.
It should be interesting. Should be really interesting to see what happens in this series with these two teams. I got a really, really good feeling it's going 7 games. But we're going to stay in the Western Conference and talk about a team that got completely blown out last night, and that's the Lakers. And you're loving it, and you and Jace are loving it, because obviously as a Kings fan, you can't stand the Lakers. And Jace is like, we got a shot now. And I'm not coming over to the fact that the Jazz have a legitimate shot to get to the NBA Finals, but we'll get to them later. But, yeah, I mean, last night was just a complete blowout. Devin Booker was outstanding with 30 points. Suns played a really good all-around game. Cameron Payne had a good game off the bench as well. And the Lakers, really outside of LeBron, were absolutely pathetic. Dennis Schroeder was horrible. John Drummond was horrible. That whole team was absolutely pathetic. I think LeBron just really gave up on his role players last night. Really didn't have any sense of urgency and after the second quarter to really, compete in this game. And it's just the Lakers are in big trouble. AD, I don't care what his status is, he's got to play in Game 6. He definitely has to be on that court in Game 6. I don't care what the deal is. He needs to be playing. There's no way he can't be playing that game, because unfortunately for the Suns, Chris Paul probably won't play in Game 6. But AD has got to be on that floor at Staples Center tomorrow night in Game 6 for the Lakers if they want any shot to win. Because you've seen the Lakers, they've been outscored by almost 40 points when Frank, Lakers look good. I know. Frank was the one guy who was saying the entire time, he was saying, I hope the Lakers get bounced early. And Frank's this close to getting his wish. Even though, his Heat got bounced, in the first round. Frank is getting close to getting his wish to having the Lakers get bounced early. I mean, I really never thought it would happen to the Lakers. I thought once they got healthy, they would be able to roll in the Western Conference. But the problem is this year they just haven't been fully healthy. I mean, and AD and LeBron had a rough game one, and then in game 4 AD gets hurt, and then last night without AD, without AD, man, they have not looked like the same team. And it begs the question: is LeBron clearly the best player in the game now? I mean, that pretty much that's the big question right now. And there's two questions I'll ask you. Number one, is LeBron still the best player in basketball? And number two, where are the Lakers at right now? Do you still think they can win the series?
So is LeBron the best player? To me, I always go back and forth on this. I've always been, the last kind of year or two, I've been kind of, is it LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, even KD when healthy. I'd even put James Harden in that category. The way
I tell you, James Harden is really, great game last night, triple-double. Yeah, I'm telling you, you could probably argue there's 6 players that you could, I'd say 5 you could say are the best players in the world. And Frank already said it, LeBum is not the best player. It's funny with Frank, though. He did get his Heat 2 championships, but he's still not giving LeBron the love there, even though the Heat won 3 championships in the D-Wade era. So maybe he feels like the Heat were D-Wade's team when LeBron was on it. But, yeah, I think you could argue LeBron. You still could argue LeBron, even though he really hasn't shown it in this series. You could argue Durant. You could argue obviously Steph Curry, even though he didn't make the playoffs. He was phenomenal. He carried that team this year. They were the worst team in the NBA last year. And without him this year, they would have been the worst team in the NBA too. You could argue Giannis for his impact, the way he impacts the game. Outside of three-point shooting, the way he impacts the game. Oh, Frank said he's never liked him. Never liked him. No. He must have. The thing about Frank is he must have not liked when he made the decision. He was like, we're not going to just win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he probably didn't like the fact that he probably didn't like the decision. He probably didn't like the negative attention that brought to the Miami Heat. Even though they won those 2 championships and were in the NBA Finals 4 years in a row, he probably didn't like the negative attention he brought to the Heat. But back to the best players in the game. Yeah, you could argue, obviously LeBron, KD, Giannis, Curry. I'd say Harden for the impact he's made with the Nets this year. And I think you could argue. I don't know if you could argue Kawhi. Maybe Kawhi too because he won a ring. So really 6 players you could put in that conversation for best player in the sport right now. It is wide open. I think it's more wide open for best player in the sport than it's ever been.
Yeah, I do because I think you threw up those 6 names. I think you picked one of them. I wouldn't have an issue with it. I don't think you wouldn't have an issue with you picked any one of those 6. So yeah, it's totally wide open. So yeah, it's been very competitive, and it hasn't been like that for a while. And I'm with Frank too. I've never really liked LeBron. I respect LeBron, but I've never liked LeBron. That's why I can't say.
Here's my thing about LeBron. When he was in Cleveland, I really liked him. The first time in Cleveland, I really liked him. I really, really liked him when he was in Cleveland. Then when the decision happened, I couldn't stand him because they had that parade and everything. So I couldn't stand that Heat team that got to 4 straight NBA Finals. But then when he came back to Cleveland, I started to respect him more. And in 2016, I was really happy when he brought home a title to the fans of Cleveland. That's when and ever since then, I've always liked him. So I had a stretch where I didn't like LeBron. Now I've liked. When he went back to Cleveland, to me, that's when I started to like him again. So I've been a little up and down on LeBron, but right now I do like LeBron. I think he's the second greatest player of all time. But right now, I think he's fallen off a little bit. He's not carrying the team the way he used to. This is not the LeBron James of 2018 that scored 50 points in the NBA Finals against the Warriors. He's just not that player anymore.
No, he's not. And, he's 35, 36. It's tough. It's tough to continue to be that guy for so long. Something I really haven't liked because I did not like his decision. I didn't like that he did it in front of all the cameras and had the big, the big parade for it. I was not a big fan of that. I've never been a big fan of him too because he's an actor out there at times. It's just ridiculous. Sometimes it just seems like he just flops for no reason when he's the biggest guy out there. Then I hated last night too. That leaving the floor with 6 minutes left, that was ridiculous. Even though
and we go and say what you're gonna say. We'll get to Jace in a minute.
Okay. I can't and I know coaches really can't call it a guy like LeBron, but I don't care. If I'm Frank Vogel, I would have gone inside closed doors and I would have gave him a piece of my mind. I'm like, you support your team even we're down 30. You don't leave the locker room 6 minutes left. You go home. I
think Frank Vogel's intimidated LeBron. There were a lot of coaches that are just intimidated of LeBron. I mean, Frank Vogel, LeBron reporting to Frank Vogel is not really like you're not reporting to a normal boss. I mean, LeBron is pretty much, I hate to say it, the coach of that team. I mean, I think Frank Vogel's much better coach like Ty Lue, but still, Frank Vogel is not telling LeBron what to do there. That's just not happening.
Yeah, I know he's not, but he should. That's ridiculous what LeBron did. I don't care you're down 30. You sit there and you support your teammates. I don't care. I would have said something. Whatever. If LeBron wants to be fired tomorrow, fine. I just don't. I don't want a quitter like that on my team.
Good point.
I don't want that because it's a bad example. It's a bad example.
Good point. Good point there.
It's gonna just I wouldn't be attracted to that kind of either that could kind of lift up the Lakers and go like, wow, like LeBron does not believe in us, and we got to step up, or LeBron doesn't believe in us, and they're timid and scared. Game 6. Who knows? I would love to see be the first time ever LeBron's off in the first round, and I would not be upset about that.
No, knowing that you're a Kings fan, you don't like the Lakers. You would not be. I know you would not be upset about it. And we got Jace. We got a comment from Jace. He can't take over games. He's a great facilitator still, but doesn't have the same scoring ability he once had. And I agree with Jace right there. I agree with him. I think, you can't take over the game. You saw it. When your team's getting outscored by 40 points, there's a question in a quarter and a half of basketball. There's a question if you're still the best player in the game or not. Listen, I'm not here to criticize. I think LeBron's had an outstanding career. It's the second greatest basketball player ever. But at this point in his career, you have to question is he still the best player in the game? I mean, I don't care how bad your team is around you. If you're the best player in the game, you're not getting outscored by 40 in a quarter and a half of basketball.
Yeah, no, you can't. I know he really played. He tried doing everything he could in the second quarter, but he's got to. The best player in the world would not go down like that. Look, he didn't have a lot of help last night. I know Schroeder's been playing well, but he was awful last night. Jason's talking about it, right before you came on. AD's been the leading scorer in both games that they've won. AD's been so great. AD's been the best player in the Lakers this series. You can see his aggression.
And the thing is he can't be the best player because AD is arguably if there's 10 guys in the league, and I think AD is a great player. If there's 10 guys in the league, I probably don't take AD because due to health, he has trouble staying healthy. So, and he's not the greatest 3-point shooter. So if there's 10 guys in the league, I wouldn't take AD. So you don't want him being your leading scorer. You need LeBron James, the quote unquote best player in the game, to be the leading scorer for you to be successful. So that was a good observation that, in the 2 games the Lakers won, LeBron wasn't the leading scorer, and it's showing that. And Jace made a great comment that his scoring ability is going down.
Yeah, because look, the Suns packed the paint last night and kind of just beat us with 3-ball. I know LeBron shot the 3-ball well, but they took away LeBron's driving ability. They knew LeBron wasn't going to hit 12 threes against them and beat them. They tried to take away the driving ability, and we're going to put 5 guys there and make life difficult. He was 6 for 10 from 3, but 9 for 19 from the floor. So, they made it difficult. They made other guys beat. The Suns are not going to let LeBron beat them, and it worked. The guys couldn't step up, but LeBron, to be the best in the world, you can't get beat by 40. You can't. And they were lifeless pretty much from out of the. They were pretty much lifeless in that second half of Game 4 after AD got hurt. They pretty much did not have much in that second half either. No,
not at all. So, in your opinion, Justin, where are the Lakers at? In my opinion, I would say. I'm still, because they're my pick to go to the finals, I still think they win the next 2 and somehow figure out a way to win this series. Justin, what do you think? Do you think the Lakers are done, or do you think they're going to figure out a way to win this series?
I'm going to take the Suns. I don't know what AD's availability is, but I think the Suns are riding high. I think even without Chris Paul, I think this team on Thursday night, Game 6, I think they come out and I think they knock them off. I really do. I don't, again, I don't know where this Lakers team's at. They were awful last night. Again, I think what LeBron did may really affect this Lakers team. And
as Frank's saying it. Frank's putting a fork in them. They're done. And I can very easily see that. I just think the biggest issue with tomorrow night for the Suns is they won't have Chris Paul. So I think that they probably won't have Chris Paul. So it's probably going to go 7 games, just like the Blazers and the Nuggets. This will probably go 7. So and it's tough to go against LeBron in a Game 7 even at home. So even though he hasn't played up to that top up to the level we've known him to play for the last 2 decades. So we'll see what ends up happening. Frank's counting them out. Justin, you got the Suns. I still do have the Lakers. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens in this series.
Yeah, well, I think the Suns come back home. I think the Suns actually finish on the Game 6. I really do. I think Suns are going to take care. Even our quick ball, I think they take care of business. And just one quick big college basketball news.
Yes.
Mike Krzyzewski's stepping down after the 2021 season or 2022 season.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. Oh, wow. That definitely, that is huge news. That's huge. Is it breaking news now or?
It just came out.
Oh, really? Wow. Wow. Coach K. Is ESPN reported it or let me see? They reported it.
Bleacher Report, but it says Stadium. Or I got it from Bleacher Report, but it was Stadium that came out with it.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see. I mean, and he's had a great career, but I felt like last year he was kind of losing a little bit last year, and yeah, this will be his last season, right?
Yep. So after this upcoming season, so it'll be interesting if he takes that job. Yeah, you can see that team just was not great. It just was not the normal Duke team, and with the new way of college basketball, the way recruiting and the transfers, I could see. I know it sounded like Roy Williams wasn't a big fan. Maybe Coach K isn't either, and of all the transfers and all that. It's a totally different game now, and it's maybe he just doesn't really want to be a part of it. Yeah,
so I know I'm putting you on the spot here. We got breaking news, but how do you think Duke will be this year, knowing that it's Krzyzewski's last? I know it's really, really early. It's really early to tell, but how will Duke be this year, knowing it's going to be Krzyzewski's last year?
I think they're gonna. I think they have another shot to make another. Going to a Final Four, they're going to be a lot better. They got the number 1 class coming in. I know they saw Patrick Baldwin. I forgot. It's like Pablo. For his last name starts with B. He's like a top 5 player. I think they have 3 of the top 4 recruits coming in next year. So they're going to reload. They actually got Theo John too from Marquette for another big guy because they really need help down low. So I think Duke's going to bounce back. I'd be shocked if they're under like a 3 seed. I think they're going to have a good year, especially knowing it's Coach K's last year. I think those guys really want to.
All right, we might have just lost Justin there. So yeah, I mean, are you still here? Still there, Justin? Yeah, we might have lost Justin there. So let me see. You back?
Yeah. I was just saying that Duke. I think these guys are going to try to give Coach K something special here in his final year. I think they're going to be one of the top seeds again, and I think they have another shot to get to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, if the Celtics struggle next year, I could see Brad Stevens being Coach K's success. We got to get to the Celtics. We will get to that later. We will get to the Celtics and Brad Stevens. There's breaking news. There's been breaking news there too. So we'll get to that, and I can see that. And this actually leads me to the question, Justin. I know I'm putting you on the spot again, but it's breaking news, and college basketball better than anybody I know. Who do you think the successor for Coach K is going to be?
I started popping that when I saw it. I'm not quite sure. Trying to go through because it's one of those things. Do they want to stay in house or they want to go get a young name?
You saw Carolina stay in house with Herbert Davis.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of his head assistant's name. I forget. He's been there for a while. I don't because some of his assistants that he's had that coach hasn't been great. Again, I bring up Johnny Dawkins' name. I don't know if he would actually get it, but he's been
Johnny Dawkins has been a coach. He's been at Stanford. He's still at UCF, right?
Yeah, he's doing a good job there. He's older, so I don't know.
That's the thing is the connection with the younger players. Yeah,
and that's the thing. I like the way Johnny Dawkins has developed talent.
What about Jeff Cable's at Pitt? Is he still at Pitt? Jeff Cable? You think he would take the Duke job or?
I think he would because I think he's at the hot seat on Pitt. He recruits well. It's development and getting the guys to buy in. It sounds like has been his problem. That's something tough at Duke. If you get a ton of freshmen, you got to have them buy in. Because you may not be the star. So, Chapel, it's tough if they want to go to the guy that Coach K knows. I would assume it's going to probably be Coach K that picks it. That's what I'm thinking. I would assume. So if that's the case too, I think it's going to be an in-house guy. I can't think of his associate that's been there for a while. I would think maybe he gets the gig. I don't think he hired Asher Wojciechowski back because he was the former Marquette coach. I don't think he hired him back yet, but I don't think he would get that job, even though he's a good recruiter, but a terrible game coach.
Yeah.
So maybe he'd come back on the staff maybe with the next guy, but I think they're going to stay in-house. I would have to look and see what's out there for his coaching tree. Maybe even I don't know. Maybe even Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder comes.
I don't think he'll go back to college though. He's having success in the pros. He's having success with the Jazz, so I don't think he goes back to college.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm just trying to go through all the Duke names that I know right now, but I think it's going to be an in-house guy.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Coach K. But we're going to circle back to the NBA and talk about the other lost LA team that we buried. I buried them last week, and they definitely proved me wrong. And it looked like they were done in Game 3. They were down 30-11 to the Mavs in the first quarter. The Mavs said that crowd was going crazy in Dallas, but the Mavs Hardaway Porzingis didn't have it. He was terrible in Game 3. Hardaway was not as good in Game 3, and Kawhi and Paul George were great. Reggie Jackson stepped up. And the Clippers ended up winning that game by 10. They won Game 3, and then in Game 4, and you could see it. Luka was not 100%. Luka was not 100% at all. You can see the Mavericks' 3-point shooting was horrendous in Game 4. They were 5 for 30 from 3-point range. Again, Kawhi and Paul George did their thing. Reggie Jackson stepped up, and the Clippers have made adjustments in the series. They moved Reggie Jackson into the starting lineup. They've moved Nicholas Batum into the starting lineup. So Ty Lue, I'm not the biggest Ty Lue fan, but he's made adjustments in this series. It's at 2-2. And right now, the thing is if Luka is not healthy, I don't see the Mavs win another game in this series. I think the Clippers win it in 6. I know last week I said Mavs in 6, but I've been bouncing around in this series. I started with Clippers in 7, then Mavs in 6. Now I'm going probably Clippers in 6 if Kawhi's not. If Luka's not healthy, because that was not the Luka Doncic we've seen. And knowing how good he is, he was still their leading scorer on Sunday night. Knowing how good he is and knowing how his supporting cast is very questionable, because Tim Hardaway was absolutely terrible in Game 4 and Kristaps Porzingis was terrible in Game 3. I think the biggest difference in the series right now is Luka's health, and the Mavericks don't have a number 2 like Paul George. They just don't. Tim Hardaway was great in Game 1 and 2, but he was not as good in Game 3, and he was terrible in Game 4. Kristaps Porzingis was not good in Game 1, but they won anyways because Finney-Smith and Hardaway stepped up. In Game 2, Porzingis was better. Game 3, Porzingis was absolutely terrible. And in Game 4, he was good, not great, but they got blown out to the Clippers. So I think the difference in the series is the Mavs don't have a 2 like Paul George and Luka's health. And the question I have for you, Justin, is do you think Luka's neck injury is affecting his play? I think it's a pretty obvious question.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's kind of – he did what he could. Yeah, you mentioned it. He was their leading scorer, but, man, they put up 81 points. And I guess, too, for Dallas, you figured they were going to cool off at some point. Like, they were red hot. You figured they had to cool off at some point. But, yeah, he was 9 for 24, 1 for 7 from 3. He did what he could, but, the neck is a weird – it's like it kind of just affects, like, everything, So, yeah, I really do think the Mavericks are in trouble here. Again, he's not probably 100% the rest of the series. And, yeah, you mentioned they don't really have a number 2. And I think, something that they need is – I think they need Porzingis to go post up because, if the Clippers want to play small ball –
then the Mavs have to counter and play Porzingis inside instead of playing him from the perimeter. That's what that's the adjustment Carlisle's going to have to make. It's going to be interesting to see what Carlisle does tonight.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Because Porzingis is going to be able to post up on Nicholas Batum and do everything he wants inside. So if the Mavs make those adjustments, and that would take some pressure off of Luka Doncic, and then you hope that Hardaway and some other guys start making some shots again. You can feel a little bit better, but Porzingis, he loves kind of being out on the perimeter for whatever, even for his size. And I get the game's a 3-point,
shooting game, but he needs to be more physical inside. That's what he needs to be. Yeah, I know. No, I like the fact he can shoot threes, but he's not like Joel Embiid where he can shoot the 3 and he's really physical inside. He can shoot the 3, but and let's be honest, Porzingis is soft inside.
Yeah, and that's a problem with this. He's 6'10", 6'11". He shouldn't, especially going to a Nicholas Batum who's 6'8", because with it really helped with you mentioned with the Clippers went small ball and they took Zubac off the floor. It really helped the Clippers out. They're a much better team, and Porzingis, he's got to go inside even if he doesn't like it. He's got to play physical over Batum. He should be able to back him down and do whatever he wants, but he's got to be able to go down low and hit some baskets inside, and that's going to really help out the team out.
Absolutely. So right now I got the Clippers in 6. I just don't think Luka is healthy enough and when he's not healthy, he can't penetrate the way he used to make the Tim Hardaways, to make the Finney Smiths, to make the Porzingis better, and make the Jalen Brunsons better. So I right now I got the Clippers winning in 6, but who knows the way this series is going? The Mavericks may end up winning in 6. This series is taking a lot of twists and turns so far. A home team has not won a game in this series.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's something you don't see very much. Obviously, I know it's not full capacity, but still, both teams have had fans at their home games. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Clippers in 6. I think after that first quarter, Game 3, the Mavericks I thought had a chance to kind of bury them, and they left the door open for the Clippers, and it's kind of been all LA since, and I think it's going to continue to be. Yeah,
we'll end up seeing because they had them. They're up 30-11 in Game 3. They had them. It was 30-11 in Game 3, and they couldn't get it done. They couldn't get the job done there. So that was it. I mean, if they close out Game 3, they win the series, but they blew a huge opportunity, and now they got to bounce back, and they got to do it the hard way now. So we'll see what ends up happening in that series. But we got to head to the Eastern Conference, and we'll talk about the Nets. Obviously, they beat the Celtics last night. They eliminated them 123-109. But the big story is with the Celtics, and their season ended last night. And Danny Ainge is stepping down as Celtics. Danny Ainge is stepping down as Celtics president of basketball operations, and he stepped down, and now Brad Stevens has taken over as the president of basketball operations, and now the Celtics looking for a head coach. And in my opinion, I don't get this move. I don't get why you would. I think they should just fire Brad Stevens and just kept Danny Ainge and got a new head coach. I don't get this move. Why you make Ainge step down, Brad Stevens moves up, and then now you're going to hire a head coach? I just don't get that move. I don't get that move at all.
I don't either. The only thing I think of is back to that contract. He still has 5 years left for Stevens. I don't know what the buyout is, but they probably don't want to fire him right now. I don't know what Ainge had left on his contract, but I think it's one of those because I think Ainge said it. I think he said it a couple times throughout the year. It's not Brad Stevens' fault. He really didn't put blame on himself. So it's like, whose fault is it that we've been, we've fallen short of our goal this year? So it was a very odd move and very, weird, because I thought Brad Stevens, I thought loves the coach. I was shocked.
I heard he was worn down from the bubble. So
okay, so that makes some sense then there. But I would think this is even more the stressful part because you're not really calling the X's and O's in the middle of the game, but you're kind of sitting up there and watching. But I don't know, maybe it will be less stressful for him. I obviously haven't been in that position before, but yeah, that was a very odd move when I saw it. And then I saw the candidates. It's like Jason Kidd and Lloyd Pierce, and it's like, this is the Celtics. You can do better than those two candidates. But
yeah, and those are actually worse coaches than Brad Stevens, and you then keep Brad Stevens in the organization where the players were kind of tuning out. So
yeah,
it's really weird. And Danny Ainge drafted. He hit on Jason Tatum. He hit on Jaylen Brown. I just don't get this move at all by the Celtics. I really don't. I think this is a team that's going. I don't see the direction where the Celtics are going. And I'm Jason Tatum. I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, I would be too. I don't know if you saw Tatum wants to be a head coach, but Devin Turner, which I thought he was still playing. I thought he was, Evan Turner be the head, which he's not. I don't think he's assistant anywhere right now. But yeah, you're Tatum. You got to, because what is the direction? You keep Stevens, which they did not. Yeah, they just, for whatever reason, they just really did not listen this year. They kind of just, and the problem I think, because Ainge just hit Brown and Tatum, but Ainge he's drafted a lot of projects the last years and that they really haven't panned out throughout the bench. So, Brad's maybe better, of kind of finding those guys, but Tatum's got to be, because you have Brown and Kemba needs, that thing's shot, I feel like, unfortunately. Maybe a full off season, he can come back in October and kind of be the guy that, he played well last year in the bubble and in Charlotte, but without, with those two guys around, I don't know. The Celtics, they got to pay Brown soon too, right? You're already paying Kemba, so it's not like they have a lot of cap here to go out and try to get another guy here to help Boston out, but they need at least a big guy, to come in, or another shooter. But Tatum's got to be kind of concerned of what's going on right now.
Oh, I would absolutely be concerned if I'm Jason Tatum. There's no way I wouldn't be. I just think the Celtics right now with this move, I think they're going to be in the Middle Eastern Conference. I don't think they're going to get to the level of the Nets, the level of the Bucks, or even the level of the Sixers. I just think they're sitting in the middle of the Eastern Conference, and they may need another top player, because Kemba Walker is good, not great. They might need another top player, and Jaylen Brown is not a superstar, but I just don't think this move. I would have fired Brad Stevens, kept Danny Ainge, got a new coach.
Yeah, that's probably what I've done too. I just go back. I just think it's a contract. I just don't think they wanted to buy out Brad Stevens, and I don't know what it is. But they're having 5 years left. It's got to probably be a good chunk of change, and it was a surprise. I probably would have fired Stevens, kept Ainge, even though last year's hasn't been great as a drafter evaluating. It's been mostly projects, but. Everyone thought after they made that trade with the Nets that the Celtics were going to come win a couple of championships, and the Nets were just going to continue to be the Nets. But that's been vice versa the last few years. And I'm with you. Celtics are probably going to be in the middle of the pack the next couple of years. Again, until they make a decision, and especially if it is a kid or Lloyd Pierce. I don't think they're getting any better. I know we're going to talk late, Hawks, Knicks in a minute, but look at that team after Lloyd Pierce got fired. That's a completely different club.
I know. Yeah. So I just don't see the direction the Celtics are going in right now. I really don't. I don't. But we'll talk about the team that beat the Celtics last night and advanced to the second round. That's the Nets. No surprise. They win in 5 games. James Harden has a triple-double. Durant and Kyrie were all good in that series against the Celtics, and they got a big series against the Bucks. Big second round series. You got probably arguably 2 of the best players in the sport in Giannis. You got 3 of the best players: Giannis, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. So you got 3 of those guys going up against each other. I think this is gonna be a fun series. But the only chance the Bucks have in this series is they got to hit their threes. If they could hit their threes, they could extend this to maybe 6 or 7. They can extend this to 6 games, but if they don't, it's going to be a 4 or 5 game series, because the Nets' third best player is clearly better than the Bucks' second best player. So I don't think defensively. I think maybe Giannis could contain Durant, but I just don't think Harden and Kyrie are going to be contained. I think the Nets still score a bunch of points. I think offensively this team is pretty much unstoppable. And right now my prediction for the series is I got the Nets winning in 6. What do the Bucks have to do to somehow to upset the Nets?
One, I think, is I love the Bucks defense, and I know you talked about it just a minute ago. The way they play defense, I think, gives them a chance. Yes, if 2 of those 3 guys are on of KD, Irving, and Durant, then they're very tough to stop. But I love the way the Bucks play defense. I think Giannis could slow down KD enough where if they can kind of keep, at least one of Harden or Kyrie in check, then I feel good about the Bucks maybe having a chance to win that game. But it's also, it's also hitting the 3-point shot. Milwaukee was great shooting wise in the game, or in the series of Miami. Game 4, they put up like 60 points at 9 for 14 in like the third quarter from shooting 3. Milwaukee was red hot. I know they lost DiVincenzo, but he was kind of wasn't playing great. It's been Brian Forbes that has been really stepping up. If he can continue to knock down shots and take off some pressure of Middleton and Antetokounmpo, then I think the Bucks really do have a chance. I feel better, obviously, if they got the 2 seed and had home court advantage here. I think, I'm with you. I think the Nets probably get them in 6, but I think the Bucks definitely keep this thing competitive. I think there's going to be some really good games. If the Bucks can kind of, it'll be a week off for the Bucks, so could there be some rust, or could it be a good thing that they've kind of been off for a few days? Rhythm and timing wise, shooting the ball. So I'd love to see the Bucks knock them off. I do not like super teams. I'll be rooting for the Bucks. I want to see Giannis win one. I just don't think the Bucks have, as you said, Chris Middleton is or Kyrie, their third, the next third best player is far better than Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's had been an all-star player, but obviously not to the level of Kyrie Irving.
No, not at all. No. And both teams are going to be rested. That's the key. Is both teams will be fully rested going into this series. The Nets have 3 days off. The Bucks had 5. They ended Saturday, so they have 5 days off. So both these teams are clearly going to be rested going into this series. It should be a really, really competitive series between these two teams. I expect it to be. But I think this is the series where I think Giannis is going to regret signing that big contract, because he's going to see Kevin Durant and James Harden being together, and he's going to say, "Where's my superstar? Where's my guy to play with?" And I think this is going to be the one series where I think he's going to regret signing that big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I love that. I love that he stayed in Milwaukee and he stayed in the small market and didn't want to go team up with guys. So I love Giannis for that. But yeah, it's the NBA being a small market team like Milwaukee. You go up against a Brooklyn that's got superstars like this, it's tough. And if he cannot knock down threes and the rest of the guys can't really step up behind them, then it's that series where he does wish he signed somewhere else and had somebody by his side there. Look, Chris, I hate to Chris Middleton's a good player. He kind of throwing on the bus like this, but yeah, he's not a superstar that the Milwaukee needs to go win a finals.
Yeah. They need one more guy. That's what Milwaukee needs. Milwaukee needs that guy, and I think they're going to figure that out after they lose the series to the Nets. That's what they're going to figure out after this series. Yeah,
100%. I think I got the Nets in 6. I think they'll be able to take care of it. I think Monkey will try to hopefully do whatever they can to get another guy in here for Giannis, but yeah, until then, it's just gonna they're gonna keep losing to guys like this.
Absolutely. So we'll go to the other New York team, and that's the Knicks, and they are on the brink of elimination. They're down 3-1 to the Hawks, and the biggest difference in the series has been Trae Young has completely outplayed Julius Randle, and we've really kind of figured out what Julius Randle is. He's a very, very good player. He's a borderline all-star. He is not a superstar, and he has proven that in this series. He has been completely outplayed by Trae Young in this series. And the biggest reason why the Hawks won those games in Atlanta was the bench. The bench was kind of even on Friday night when the Hawks won by 10, and then the bench was better for the Hawks when they won by 17 in Game 4. So Trae Young has completely outplayed Julius Randle. Reggie Bullock, he's not really stepped up. RJ Barrett had a terrible Game 3. It's Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose has been carrying this team. He had that 27-point game in Game 2 coming off the bench. Then he went into the starting lineup in Game 3, had 30 points. Didn't have a great second half on Sunday. I think he was wearing down, and that's the bad sign for the Knicks. When you have a has-been point guard that used to be great carrying your team, you're not in good shape. I think the Knicks win tonight, but I do think the Hawks win the series 4-2. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Hawks close them out tonight at the Garden. But I just think with the time off, Thibodeau able to get this team ready, I think they win tonight, and the Hawks beat them in Game 6. But Justin, what do the Knicks have to do to have any chance of winning this series? And who do you got? And who do you got?
The Knicks, they got to come out to a fast start. I feel like the first 4 games, I feel like Atlanta's gone out to some good starts and kind of has been able to kind of do what they want. I know Game 4, the Knicks did have a 1-point lead going in the second quarter, but I think Atlanta, the Knicks have to get out to a 5 start and keep that Garden crowd into the game. Keep them going. it's also Randall has to play like his life's on the line tonight. Again, he's been, he's really, really struggled. I know he's 23-7, but shooting wise, he's around 30% for the series.
Yeah, and he shot shot 40% from 3-point range during the regular season, but this is the regular season. This is the playoffs where teams figure you out. And in the playoffs, Randall has just clearly not been the same player. And he's kind of being the player that everybody thought he was, a borderline all-star, not a superstar.
Yeah, and I thought maybe after the first few games, he'd settle in and kind of, all right, this is playoff basketball. Here we go. And he still really had not been able to do it. And, yeah, you kind of wonder because, I know probably like a month ago I was saying I'd probably take him right now over AD the way he's playing, but I'll have to take that back. But, yeah, look, and Rose has been great, but his knees are shot, and he's been incredible. For the year he's had, and for him to keep going.
And we got another breaking news from Jace. Thanks for that, Jace. Yeah. John Shire announced as the coach in waiting for Duke.
That was the guy I was thinking for.
Yeah, the guy you were thinking of. He was on that 2010 championship team. I think he was on. Yeah, so John Shire. Was the coach in waiting for Duke. Thanks, Jace, for getting that for us.
Yes, thank you, Jace.
Yeah. So we'll see how he ends up doing. He has no experience, but he's played for Duke, so the move would make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know he's been on the staff there 4 or 5 years, I believe. I believe he's been there for a few years. He knows the ropes. He knows the school. Again, I would think too. He's Mike Krzyzewski's lead assistant recruiting wise. So again, I think he's going to know what to do. I'm not surprised. It kind of feels like the, Jim Calhoun, the kind of Kevin Ollie type thing. I think he's probably going to have better success, but kind of one of those kind of moves. I think he'll do good with Duke. Again, it's Duke. It's really, unless you really try, you're going to be good. You're going to get guys in the door like North Carolina. So as long as he knows somewhat of the X's and O's, which I bet he does under Krzyzewski, I bet Krzyzewski picked him. Krzyzewski's not an idiot. He knows he's kind of, he can do this. And I think it'll be a good move for for Duke to go with him, keeping it in-house.
Absolutely. I know we've been bouncing around a lot. I apologize for that, but with this kind of breaking news, I just want to make sure we get that in. So we'll go back to the Knicks now. Do you still got them winning the series? Obviously, I don't. You still got my Knicks winning the series, or? No,
unfortunately not. I think Trae Young comes in here tonight and would love to send the Knicks crowd home displeasured. So, and I think he would love a rain of boos tonight walking out that floor. I think Trae Young gets it done tonight. And I think the Hawks win in 5. This is what I wanted to see, last kind of point on the Knicks too. The Knicks have had a great regular season. Obviously, I think we've seen the talent. They still need more talent. And I wonder with the regular season with the Knicks, because they played hard night in and night out. And we know in the NBA, sometimes teams take nights off. And, I think maybe at times they took advantage of that. Again, I'm not trying to take any away from the Knicks team.
No. I know. Absolutely. It's done a great job. But, yeah, Thibodeau had this team 72 nights this year playing hard every single night, and not every team did that at all. Yeah. So that's what you got to give Tom Thibodeau credit for. This is really this talent is probably like an 8 seed. This team is like pretty much like an 8 seed, but they're a 4 seed because of how hard they played. So definitely give them credit for that. But when you get to the playoffs, you get exposed, and it feels like the Knicks are getting exposed.
It does, yeah. It's a whole different animal in the playoffs, and yeah, they just right now, I think it shows that, hey, we've had a great regular season. Hey, we're a 4 seed. But, yeah, they need more, they need more talent. They got 2 first-round picks in the, the Knicks are going to go out and go find a superstar this offseason. I think, with the way the series is going, it kind of gets that emotion even quicker now that, hey, we need somebody else right now. So, yeah, Thibodeau should be coach of the year. I know it's up to him and Monty Williams right now, who've done a great job at Phoenix. But for a team that, I'm with you, they had a talent of being an 8 seed, playing the play-in round. To be a 4 seed, I don't care if it's easy or conference. It's been unbelievable with the talent that they have, that they're in this position. It just shows how good of a coach Tom Thibodeau have done. And again, it's the Knicks' future. I still feel is really bright, even losing tonight in 5 games.
It sure is. It absolutely is. So we'll see what ends up happening for the Knicks. We'll see if they can end up somehow. We can see if they can end up making the series interesting and getting it to Friday. I hope they get it to Friday and make it interesting. But we got another Eastern Conference series, and that's between the Wizards and Sixers. And the Wizards made it interesting. They won. They won on Monday night, and now they go to Philadelphia for Game 5. And the Sixers will be without Joel Embiid. And in my opinion, though, I still think the Sixers pull it out because, I think Doc Rivers is a good coach. I think that, Ben Simmons will get the ball to Tobias Harris and Danny Green and Seth Curry, and I think they'll end up winning the game. And I just don't feel like Russell Westbrook is going to win a game like this. I think this is another, this is going to be another bad Russell Westbrook loss in the playoffs where it's close to the end. He makes a bad decision, and the team loses the game. And I think the Sixers win it in 5. I think they close it out tonight, even though Embiid's hurt. I think they close it out in 5. But the big question is, though, with Embiid out, what are the chances that the Wizards could force a Game 6?
I think I don't think they're great. I think for the Sixers, they've had a day now where they can kind of game plan without Joel Embiid, and I think that's going to help out the Sixers. Look, they were down 12 points going in the fourth quarter of the Sixers the other night, and they fought back. They had some chances, and they didn't really kind of lie down. So yeah, the Sixers was able to win a game, but look, Russell Westbrook was 3 for 19. I know he had 19.21 rebounds and 14 assists, but you look at the shooting line, and that's just awful. He's 13 for 16 from the line. He's got to play a lot better because I think Philly's gonna Philly. Yeah, they let Washington get one, but they're not letting this thing go back to Washington. Yeah, I think Tobias Harris going to knock down some shots. Curry again, Danny Green, yes. I think the Sixers are going to be able to do enough. I don't really like Washington's chances. Hachimura played really, really well. Beal, had 27, but they didn't really have it. Even actually, Robin Lopez had 16 points, but I was stunned. He just, without Embiid, he was kind of just did whatever he wanted to. I don't expect him to have 16 points again tonight. I think the Wizards are going to struggle. And I think Philly takes care of business tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they win it in 5 and they advance. And I think eventually, unfortunately, as a Knicks fan, I got to say they play the Hawks. They advance to play the Hawks in the second round, and that'll probably start next week. But we'll wrap up talking about Jace Garcia's Utah Jazz. And let me tell you, Jace Garcia's Utah Jazz are in great shape. They're up 3-1 on the grid. Yeah, last week we were questioning them, being down 0-1, but now they're up 3-1. Donovan Mitchell has been outstanding in this series. He scored 10 of the last 14 points for the Jazz in game 3, and then he had 30 in game 4. He is a great player. He's the Jazz best player since Karl Malone, and he is a player that could lead the Utah Jazz to a place where I didn't think they were going to get to, and that's the NBA Finals. I mean, he has been, and maybe even an NBA championship, seeing the way their season's gone. So Donovan Mitchell has been outstanding. And I think the difference in the series, like I said, is 3-point shooting. You saw Utah on Monday night. It's 17 threes, shot 50% from behind the arc. Ja Morant struggled from 3-point range, went 1 for 7 in game 4. I think Ja Morant's going to be could be a great player in this league, but he's got to develop a consistent 3-point shot. If he can do that, he's going to be a great player. But if he doesn't, the Grizzlies are going to be in that 8-9 seed range. The only way for the Grizzlies to move up is they need Ja Morant to start hitting from behind the arc.
Totally. And, yeah, because Memphis, they've done a great job of getting in mid-range jumpers. And, Dillon Brooks is great at that. Morant's great at that. But, yeah, you play – that's great. But when you play a team like the Jazz or any pretty much team in the NBA nowadays, those teams are going to be hitting 3 balls. And, you're never going to win that game. So, yeah, you hold for Ja Morant. He could start knocking down some jumpers, and there's some 3-point jumpers for this Grizzlies team because, the last decade, because they had some, with Zach Randolph. Again, they were in the playoffs. They just could never get over the hump, and they kind of just be like that again, where they really just could never take that next step. But they need Morant to hit down some threes, but. The Jazz, bounced back from game 1. Donovan Mitchell's been great. He's looked really well coming off of that ankle injury, which you're always kind of concerned because it was a month off, but he's played really well. The Jazz team's playing well. They have the knocking out 17 3-pointers. I do think the Jazz will take care of business, and Utah does look good, and they're a very dangerous team when they're healthy and they're clicking on all cylinders.
Absolutely. They are, and they are a dangerous team, and they very easily can make a run to the NBA Finals. And I got them closing it out tonight in 5 games.
Yeah, I'm with you. They'll close it out. They won't let this thing get to Game 6 and go to Memphis one more time. So I'm with you. Utah gets it done tonight.
And they win tonight. They're well rested. They better hope and they're hoping the Clippers and Mavs go to 7 games so they could start Tuesday night in the second round at home in Utah. That'll wrap it up for the NBA. We got the Yankees and Red Sox matching up for the first time this year. But before that, we got a couple promos from Clovercrest Media.
Clovercrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast, Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floated to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, but I hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Can you believe it?
It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years.
Fires. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. It's over. The Red Sox have won the world championship.
Tune in to the newest show presented by Clovercrest Media. It's Obie's Backstop Podcast. Catch it twice a week, every Red Sox series finale on your favorite podcast platform.
Alrighty, obviously got the big series this weekend for the Yankees and Red Sox. But before we get to that, we got to talk about the Yankee struggles. I mean, what a disgraceful weekend in Detroit. I mean, absolutely pathetic this team was in Detroit. I mean, they scored, I think it was five runs in 3 games against the Tigers. That is horrible. And number one thing I don't want to hear about is that stupid extra inning rule the Yankee fans want to make excuses about for the way they lost on Friday, or the strikeout call they thought they should have had. Win the game in 9 innings. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Win the game in 9 innings. You were good enough to beat the Detroit Tigers winning that game in 9 innings. I mean, that's a disgrace. There's really, I mean, outside of last night, there was one guy that's been hitting, and that's been Aaron Judge. I mean, Stan has struggled since he came out the DL. LeMahieu has not been good this year. I mean, Gio's been okay, but the rest of the lineup, Gary Sanchez, how bad has Gary Sanchez been? He has been absolutely terrible this season. And his base running is even more pathetic. You saw on Sunday when he got thrown out on the bases. Last night he thrown out on the bases. I don't want to hear any defense from Gary Sanchez anymore. From Joe, from anyone. If I hear from Joe one more time, I'm not giving up. This guy is horrible. Gary Sanchez is horrible. Honestly, I wouldn't mind trading him now. I am done with Gary Sanchez. He is absolutely pathetic. I am done with him. This lineup, Clint Frazier did step up last night. I'll give him credit. Had the big home run, but and Duhar did the home run last night too. But this lineup is a major problem. And yeah, if they could step it up this week, they could take 3 out of 4 from Tampa, take 2 out of 3 from Boston. All right, we got a season. They lose the next 2 to the Rays. They lose 3 out of 4 to the Rays. The AL East is off. This is a wild card team at best because they only play the Rays 6 times for the rest of the season. So they got to at least split with the Rays the next 2, which I think they will because Garrett Cole's pitching on Thursday. But they got to split with the Rays for me to think they're going to compete for the AL East. Because if they lose the next 2, they're not competing for the AL East. Yeah, they'll have a chance to get a wild card because the Red Sox, they haven't played them yet, and I don't think the Red Sox are that good. I think they're better than their record, but I just don't think the way they're playing is sustainable for 162 games. But this Yankee team needs to start hitting, or Aaron Boone is going to be out of a job. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's not Aaron Boone's fault. It's not Aaron Boone's fault. You don't fire 25 players. When a team is underperforming, it's the manager's fault. And last year, he cost us a huge playoff game by pulling Deivi Garcia out after the first inning. So I don't want to hear the nonsense that it's not Aaron Boone's fault. It is Aaron Boone's fault. He's by far the worst manager the Yankees have had in my lifetime. And they obviously they had a great manager in Joe Torre, a Hall of Fame manager in Joe Torre, and they had a solid manager in Joe Girardi. But yeah, Aaron Boone is clearly the worst manager the Yankees have had in the time that I've been a fan. The biggest mistake Brian Cashman made, one of the biggest mistakes he made was firing Joe Girardi after 2017, because realistically, this team, they were one game away from winning the World Series in 2019. One game. They have not came that close since. Yes, all right. 2019, they did get to Game 6 against the Astros, but they didn't get to Game 7. And you look at obviously, and then the 2 years they lost in the wild card round to the Rays and to the Red Sox. I am sick and tired of not getting to World Series. And it looks like it's going to be this. It looks like the way things are going right now, the way this team's hitting, it looks like it's going to be the same thing this year. And now Kluber's on the IL, so the pitching hasn't been as good as you saw this weekend. You know, they had to throw Michael King and they throw Deivi Garcia out there against the Tigers, and they really struggled. And then obviously last night, Germán wasn't great, and then Tyone wasn't great last night. So the pitching is starting to get a little bit worse too. Thank God for this bullpen. This bullpen is what's keeping this thing afloat. This bullpen, even without Zach Britton, is the thing that's keeping this team afloat. Because without that, this team would probably be under 500 the way they've been hitting, and the inconsistency outside of Garrett Cole of this rotation. So right now, this week is a huge week for the Yankees. For me, I would like to see them win the next 2 against the Rays, and I don't know if that's realistic, but win the next 2 against the Rays and then take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. That's what I want to see, because I'm not high on this team right now. They're in 3rd place, 4.5 games out of 1st place, had high expectations with the World Series. If things don't get better, Aaron Boone is got to go, and I don't want to hear any excuses about it. He's got to be fired. If this team somehow misses the playoffs, he should be fired before the season ends.
He should be. And I don't know what you heard what hitting coach Marcus Timms had to say yesterday. Do not blame the analytical department. I wonder if it's just a thing when you sign a contract. You cannot throw the analytical department under the bus, which I think is ridiculous because, again, Sunday, I would have made that team ride the bus home back from Detroit and said, if you guys don't want to be, if we're not going to be a major league team, then then we don't get the right charter flight.
If George was still the owner, if the old George before in the old days would have fired Boone, probably long before this, but he would have definitely fired Boone after that game. Even the George that was, the George that calmed down, he would have fired Boone. George Steinbrenner would not have stood for what's going on right now. George would not be standing for what was going on right now. He would be so upset. I mean, he would be really upset. Hal's a little bit more laid back. That's just how he is. He's just a little bit more laid back than George. Yeah, and that's the problem.
I think George would have been in that. I think George would have been on the top step of the dugout on Sunday. And after that final out, I think he would have fired Boone. But his team, it's disgraceful, this lineup right now. And the thing is, it's like their at-bats just stink. That's the thing. It's like, why is it such a bad thing to have 2-strike approach? Why is it such a bad thing to move?
It's the analytics. It's the analytics. And they don't move runners. You don't move runners over anymore. You don't choke up on the bat with 2 strikes. It's the analytics now that are screwing up the way these guys are hitting the ball. It's horrible. They're striking out way too much. No wonder we have 6 no-hitters and we're not even halfway through the season. Yeah,
I can't stay watching baseball in 2021 now. I was watching the biggest tournament this weekend, baseball-wise. I forgot how much fun it could be to watch baseball because they just put the ball in play.
Yeah.
And there's actually emotion, and guys are into it. I can't stand watching it anymore. This team
needs to start showing some emotion. Just like last night, they got to start showing some emotion because if they lose the next 2 to the Rays and they lose 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox, not only is the AL East in question, but a playoff spot is in question, and that was unthinkable before the start of the season.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think they're on pace to win 87 games at the moment. 87 games.
Wow!
Just let that sink in. But the team should be close to 100.
Yeah.
They again, that's on coaching, and that they just don't change anything. Yeah, and you can see Gary last night, bottom 10th, 11th. We had bases loaded, 2 outs. You can just see him. He was not comfortable at all. He did not look like he wanted to be batting at that moment. And I have tried to defend Gary as long as possible, but
Joe got you into that club of defending Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, well, because it's like he could hit 30, 35 home runs. It's like, okay, if he makes some mistakes, whatever, he'll hit a home run and make up for it. But he can't even do that right now. So it's very tough. And Austin Wells is probably that catcher they got, probably still another 3-4 years away. And I don't know what they're going to do with that position. But till then, because Kyle Yashioka is even struggling, So it's ridiculous, this team. And, again, Gio last night, they had first and third, 1 out. Put the ball in play. Just put the ball in play. You have a chance to win the game, and he strikes out, and then Gary strikes out. It's
crazy. Everybody's struggling outside of Aaron Judge. And I was hearing Joe talking Keys to the City saying the Red Sox are not sustainable because they really have only 4 hitters that are hitting in that lineup. At least they have 4 hitters that are hitting really well.
Yeah.
The Yankees have 1 hitter that's hitting well.
Yeah. And the thing, too, about the Red Sox, I know we'll get them in a minute, but they come up, but there's a sense of urgency in that lineup when they have to. I don't see that at all with the Yankees. I really don't. There's no urgency. It just seemed, strikeout or nothing, whatever inning it is, whatever the situation is. It's like they don't even try to put the ball in. It's just none of it. And, the pitching's starting to kind of, starting to have the shows, which you thought it would. The pitching kind of starts to struggle even more, and this lineup doesn't connect. Again, the pitching, the bullpen, and the starting staff, for the most part, they've kept the team afloat. They've scored 207 runs. The Orioles have scored more runs. The Orioles have scored 209 runs.
And where are they ranked in baseball? They're in the 20s, right?
What, for runs scored?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to be in the 20s. This is the worst. 26. This is the worst offensive team for the Yankees since 2016, since that 2016 season before Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez went on that tear in the last 2 months of the season. This is the worst Yankee offensive team since then, and this is the most concerned I've been about the Yankees since 2016 because this team has just clearly underachieved. It just seems like and everybody says, "Oh, it's May, it's June." It's starting to count. These games are starting to count. This team's starting to fall behind in the standings. Yes, they got the big win last night. Frazier came through, but if they keep falling in the standings, they might miss the playoffs. So that's why this week is such a huge week for them.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're 25th in runs, and they're 26th in batting average.
Who would have thought they'd be 25th? I remember we were doing the roll call like 2 years ago, and Joe was complaining about them being second in runs scored and being concerned about their lineup being inconsistent at times. You would take second in runs scored any day right now.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Because, again, you just wouldn't expect that. They're slugging at 24. They're slugging 370. It just, and I can't say, you go back to it's May, still April. I can't stand there, Boone, every day. Oh, things are going to get better. We'll start getting it going. Dude, it's 2 months in the year, not 3 weeks, not a month. We're 2 months in. We're about a third of the way done the season, and things aren't still clicking. There's a bigger issue here, Boone, and somebody needs to wake up and kind of say, we need to change something. And I was hoping maybe on that flight on Sunday, coming back home, would have done that. But then Monday
they lose. Same thing on Monday. Yep, same thing on Monday. And, they win yesterday, but a lot of baseball teams can win one. Any baseball team can win a game, okay? Any team can win a game. They don't play the whole, they won, they're going to turn everything around because they won. No. Any baseball team can win one game. Okay, this has been a problem. It's been a problem for the last week. Ever since they swept the White Sox and started playing the Blue Jays. This has been a problem for at least a week now. That this team just has not been hitting. Unfortunately, their starting pitching hasn't been as good, and that's why they've lost 5 of their last 7 games. And they got 2 big games. The next 2 they got 2 big games against the Rays the next 2 days, and they got a huge series against the Red Sox coming up. And let's talk about that series against the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are trying to come down to earth a little bit. I'm telling you, Erod is struggling, man. Erod, again, Monday was not good at all. The Red Sox, they lose yesterday. The Red Sox now 2 games out of first place in the American League East. And this is a big series. This is a big series for that, one of those wild card spots, I think. It's the first time they play. They play 19 times this year. They haven't played They haven't played yet, so very interesting series. Friday night, the Yankees haven't announced a starter. Evaldi's going for the Sox. On Saturday, you got Tyone against Erod, and then Sunday you got Herman against Richards. So I think the Yankees could at least win 2 out of 3 at home. They have to protect it. They got to take 2 out of 3. They're the better team on paper. If they don't, this team's in big trouble. I mean, the Red Sox this year, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year, a year where, all right, we'll win maybe 80 to 85 games, then maybe get some pitching in the offseason, maybe get some pitching next year. The Red Sox were not supposed to be, in second place. They were supposed to be in fourth place. The Yankees, they were supposed to be in first place. The Yankees need to take care of business this weekend against the Red Sox.
Totally. But I have the Red Sox win 2 out of 3.
Wow, you are that down on the Yanks. Yeah.
I am. I can't believe I'm saying this a million years. I'd rather watch the Red Sox right now than the Yankees. Because it's actually a team that, again, I know the last 2 nights for them have been ugly, but it's a team that they have fun and they actually, they show some urgency.
And they clearly, and I think a big reason for that is they got I know, Cora cheated with the Astros and everything, but they got a really good manager. They have a clearly a better manager than the Yankees. Both teams in the AL East, the Rays and the Sox, have better manager. I mean, you cannot tell me that Aaron Boone is a better manager than Kevin Cash and Alex Cora. That is completely false.
No. Cora and Cash just run circles around him, around Aaron Boone. And, and the thing about Cora, too, they had the shortened game last Wednesday, the rain delay. The Red Sox put up 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th, knowing that they could be the last inning. They did it again Friday night. They scored 3 runs in the bottom 5th. Bottom 4th or bottom 5th. Again, they get the win. They show urgency. They still struggle at times with runners of scoring business like the Yankees do, but again, everybody does in 2021. But they show when they need the runs, they get them. They find a way to get them. They don't beat them and the Rays do. The Red Sox and the Rays do not beat themselves. They don't let stuff affect them in the field, like after bat at bat. They do the little things right, and that's kind of that's another thing Yankees really show that. And I think this Red Sox team, especially the way they've been playing. And now you're kind of facing a Yankee team that really just out of whack. I think the Red Sox come up here and knock them off and get 2 out of 3. Right now the Red Sox they're winning like the better team. Yeah, you could say at the beginning of the year, Yankees obviously are supposed to be the better team, but I think the Red Sox are better right now. They got the stopper tonight, and Nick Pivetta has been great for him. Thank God the Yankees don't have to face him this weekend because he's been great. Look, the Yankees, because I could, I want to say it up here that, you can just get Evaldi and there's, who else is pitching is waiting for him out of the game and get to that bullpen, but they can't hit anybody's bullpen. So I can't sit up here confidently and say, just get to their bullpen. Usually they're great against Matt Barnes, but I don't think they're going to touch Barnes this year, the way he's been pitching and the way they've been hitting. So I think the Red Sox find a way, and I think they'd love to come in here and just pretty much bury the Yankees.
Wouldn't shock me at all. Wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, I think the Yankees do. I think the Yankees, I think they do split with the Rays because Garrett Cole pitches on Thursday, and they use some of that momentum that Cole will give them on Thursday and win 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. If you're right, and the Red Sox take 2 out of 3 of those games against the Yanks.
Yeah, I hope. Cole tomorrow. You hope kind of gives them some momentum. But look at Friday night. I know Cole wasn't great. He went 3 strikeouts, which was rare, but again, they couldn't hit the Tigers at all. So. You hope that they kind of get going, but they get some momentum, but I don't know. I had problems, especially if it's going to be an opener. My worry, it's going to probably be Nick Nelson again, and that could get ugly very quickly, but especially that, because the thing about that Red Sox lineup too is they're so much better the second and third time around.
And they have the best 3-4, probably the best 3-4-5 combination in the game with JD, Bogarts, and Devers. They're all having great years. And Verdugo's hit well too. And a lot of people want to say, they only have 4 hitters hitting well. That's their number 1 in run scored. It's the best 3-4-5 combination in the game. The biggest difference, the reason the Red Sox are better than the Yankees right now is because of the offense. Their offense has clearly been better.
Oh, yeah. Hunter Renfroe hit over 300 in the month of May with like 5 home runs. Hunter, I know the average is still down, but he stunk in April. Hunter Renfroe is even starting to turn around in that lineup. So he's in, Clevin Pilecki Saturday came up with a big RBI double to give him the lead. So they find guys. So, they've been struggling, but their guys come up in a big moment and get the job done. That's what they've been so great with. In that lineup. Devers is batting like 136 in his fastballs, and everything else he's like 350, 360. So, again, I would not give anything off speed to Devers, but teams are still doing it. I don't know why, because he's been great. But Martinez had his first double Friday night of the month of May. It's just his average is so great. He's been a singles, couple home runs, and obviously I think Bogaerts is one of the most underrated shortstops and probably one of the most underrated players in Major League Baseball right now. I know there's so many great shortstops.
Absolutely. He's been great. He's been great for the last 3 years, and you've never really heard of him being in that Lindor conversation. He should be in that conversation with Lindor.
Oh, 100%. He's having one of the best years for he's been great the last 3 years. It's always the Lindors, the Tatis since he's come up. Even Glaber's been up there, and obviously Glaber hasn't been the same. Story, Seager. So, he's one of those guys that should be getting a lot more credit and deserves a lot more than what he gets out there. Because he's been one of the best players the last few years.
Absolutely. Big series, Yanks and Sox this weekend. They're playing 19 times in the next 4 months, so that's going to decide a ton between those two teams. But we're going to wrap up baseball stay in the AL East, wrap up baseball talking about a player that's having a phenomenal year, and that's Vlad Guerrero Jr. He went 4 for 4 yesterday against the Blue Jays and led them to a 4-1 victory. Against the Marlins, led them to a 4-1 victory. I'm telling you right now, is Vlad Guerrero Jr. the MVP in the American League? Because look at his numbers, 17 home runs, 45 RBIs. I got him as my AL MVP right now.
Oh, yeah. Batting 337 right now, 17 home runs, 45 RBIs. Especially coming out the year he had last year, he kind of struggled. Obviously he got himself in a lot better shape coming into this year, and it's panned out. I know, the Blue Jays still hanging around. Their pitching staff really struggled, but, Marcus Semien had an unbelievable, I think he won AL Player of the Month. So, Semien, he can get going. Bichette, who's a really good player.
They could swing it. They could swing it. They could swing it. Them and the Red Sox, they could swing it. And they're staying in it. The problem is their bullpen is by far the worst of any team in the AL East. I was watching a game when they were playing the Red Sox. I don't know if you were doing that game when they were up 7-5 going into the ninth inning and JD hit the 3-run homer to beat them. You were doing that game?
The least. Yeah. The Heeman rain delay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. It's just that's the problem. The problem is the bullpen and the depth in the rotation. Now they got the lineup. They got the piece in the lineup. Now they got to get the bullpen and the rotation to be able to compete with the Yanks, the Sox, and the Rays in the AL East.
Yeah, they got to go. And I wonder, a team like the Twins, could the Blue Jays go out and go get a Jose Barrios and get another start for him? Because Ryu's been great, and that's really Robbie Ray pitched well last night. But again, you can't count on that every night. So if the Blue Jays can get another starter, and then there's always guys that are selling off their bullpen guys, the Cubs could sell out maybe Craig Kimbrell because he's been great this year. So, if the Blue Jays can figure out that bullpen, they're definitely gonna have a chance to win that wild card. They maybe they're 5.5 out. They probably have a slim chance to win the AL East. I probably wouldn't put the favorites still to win that, but if they they get some bullpen help starters, I think that's they're a wild card team.
Absolutely. I definitely could see. I could definitely see it if they could just improve that starting rotation. So it'll be interesting to see how the AL East shapes out. This is a huge week for the AL East with the Rays playing the Yankees and the Yankees playing the Red Sox. So we'll definitely be talking about that next week. But we got to talk some NFL. And we got to talk about Julio Jones, and we got to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And yesterday was the day where in June 1st where the cap money is not as much, the dead cap hits aren't as much with the two players. Julio Jones, his cap hit goes down $14 million. Aaron Rodgers' cap hit goes down $15 million. Here's the thing with those two players. I'm starting to get the feeling Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be traded, but Julio Jones is, I think, definitely going to be traded. And I've seen an offer where the Falcons are starting to talk about a second-round pick for Julio Jones, them and the Titans. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening, where he ends up going. Right now, I think the Titans might be the leader in the clubhouse right now. I mean, we've seen interest from the Patriots. We've seen interest from the 49ers. I've been hearing the Ravens have been pulling out. But And then you heard interest from the Seahawks this week. So right now, in my opinion, even though I thought the Titans was a long shot last week, I'm going with Julio Jones going to the Titans.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I know the Patriots have been rumored for him the last 3 years that they could go after him and go try to trade for him. But yeah, it sounds like the Titans are really making a push here to come go get him, and I think they will. Adding with AJ Brown, as we mentioned last week, I think it's going to be another really nice piece of that offense. And if the defense can get going, that Titans team is going to be it's going to be a contender to win the AFC if their defense can get any stops this year. I'm with you. I think it's probably going to be Tennessee right now at the end of the day. I would love to see the Packers try to go get him for Rodgers, but yeah, I'm with if I'm Green Bay too, I wouldn't trade Aaron Rodgers. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You have one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. You're not going to trade him away. I think you make him kind of say, all right, you're not going anywhere. So you can either retire or you can sit on the bench for the next 3 years till your contract's up. It's up to you. I give him that ultimatum. I would not trade him. I don't care what you get for him. And I don't think the Packers are going to trade him.
Yeah, I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago saying that he was going to be him gone or Gutekunst gone, but I think things are starting to get a little bit better in that situation. But for Julio Jones, he's definitely going to get traded. There's no doubt. The Falcons, they're way over the cap. They can't even sign their draft picks. That's how bad it is there right now. So they're going to trade Julio Jones. And I look at the Vegas odds, I think from yesterday. Right now, the Seahawks are actually number one. Have that offense with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. You got the Titans number 2, which we talked about them. You got your Patriots number 3. The Ravens number 4, but I feel like they're pulling out a little bit. Yeah. The Raiders number 5. 49ers 6, Packers 7, Dolphins 8, Cowboys 9, Chargers 10, Colts 11, Giants 12. And they're just listing teams now. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to 3 teams for Julio Jones. It's going to come down to the Seahawks, the Titans, or the Patriots. I think that's what I did in my 5 best bits. I did have the Colts and Ravens. I had the Colts and Ravens in there. And 49ers, but I feel like the Seahawks have made a push. And I think the Titans and Patriots have always been interested.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's definitely get traded probably sooner rather than later, you would think. So yeah, they can sign their draft picks as soon as possible. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's probably gonna be the Titans. Look, I'd love to see him go with the Patriots, but we know with Bill, he won't really overpay if he doesn't have to. You really see this Titans team wants them. They want to make that push because I think for that offense, they're gonna have to score a ton of points to be able to win. To try to cover up that defense. And you had a guy like Julio Jones, and you'll be able to do that. So I'm with you. I think it's right now the Titans are the favorite.
Yeah, and for Aaron Rodgers, I was looking up odds for Aaron Rodgers trade. I just don't think right now it doesn't look like it's going to be happening. It just really doesn't. I just think he's going to play this year in Green Bay. Yeah, the Packers might not be as good as they are last year, but I think they're just going to have to suck it up together in Green Bay this year. I know it's going to be toxic, but I just feel like he's going to end up staying in Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he will too. I don't, I think if the Packers would be. I think it'd be a terrible idea to trade him. I know he wants out, but I don't think that's something that fan base is just never going to forgive you for. Especially Aaron Rodgers goes somewhere else and win a Super Bowl. They'll never forgive you for giving up Aaron Rodgers.
It's just like you guys with Brady. When you guys wouldn't. I know Brady left. You guys didn't release him because he was a free agent, but you guys didn't extend him after he beat Patrick Mahomes, and you guys wouldn't give him a 2-year deal when he was a free agent. As a Patriot fan, you guys are probably a little bit upset at Belichick I know Belichick's won 6 Super Bowls. He's one of the greatest coaches ever, but you're probably a little bit upset at Belichick for, not re-signing Brady. You're happy Brady won last year because you guys love Brady, but you're a little upset at your organization for allowing that to happen as a Patriots fan. Oh, yeah. And that's the same way you think of with the Packers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it'll be much worse. It would be much worse with the Packers because the Packers only won 1 Super Bowl. You guys won 6.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, especially the way the Patriots played last year with Cam Newton. It's like you really thought Cam Newton was a better option last year than Tom Brady. At the beginning, Well, everybody thought started calling him a genie. Bill Belichick does it again. But look, he was, Cam was awful, and I know Bill wanted to go young, but it was like Cam Newton was not that guy, and we saw that after week 3, week 4, after he came back from COVID, or week 5 was. So yeah, it's something where I'm happy for Brady. I love that he didn't really try to come out and destroy the organization. Come out and be upset about he had the player and he waited till his contract's up. That's something I admire him a lot for. And I know that's Brady's personality. He never about that, but it's upsetting. I was happy for Brady, but it was upsetting at the same time to know that, Tom could have won us another one. Obviously I knew we probably wouldn't have won the Super Bowl last year with our offense, but obviously Brady still would have been the better option than Cam Newton. He would have gave us a better shot to win another ring. And, you're kind of upset to see that again, and he has a chance to win another one because that Tampa team arguably got even better. So
they're my favorite. They're my favorite to win it again this year.
Me too. At the moment they are as well. So and obviously for Green Bay fans, you trade Aaron Rodgers away, and obviously the fan base is going to be very upset with that whole organization because you said it. They've only won one ring with him, and if he goes in 1 year and wins it with another organization, it's going to make things a lot worse for that fan base.
And that's and say Jordan Love isn't any good. That makes it even worse because they drafted Jordan Love while Aaron Rodgers was still in his prime. You don't do that in this era of the NFL. You don't ever do that in this era of the NFL. So this isn't 2005 where you could think, Brett's losing a little bit. Maybe Aaron could sit a year or two. That doesn't happen anymore. You can't do that. So if they trade Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love is no good, that is going to be a horrendous decision.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because I heard he's not even ready. I heard he's still not ready. So to take that starting job. So, they need Rodgers to stay. Yeah, they got to keep Rodgers because I don't think Love's ready. I don't know if he's that next guy. I think it's obviously too early to tell. But, if Love comes out and he struggles, oh, my, it's not going to be pretty in Green Bay. And, again, I feel bad for that organization because I feel bad for Rodgers too because, they should do more for him. Don't get me wrong, they should, but you feel bad for that fan base who's, so passionate, has a great, great franchise.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up the show talking a little bit of hockey, and we'll talk about the series with the two local teams. We got the Islanders and the Bruins. Game 3. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow night. Let the other series catch up.
Oh, okay. So it's tomorrow night on the Island. Game 3 is tomorrow night at Nassau Coliseum. But a great start to the series. David Pastrnak in Game 1 had the hat trick. Bruins won 5-2. Then the Islanders win in overtime. The Bruins win Game 1, and then the Islanders win in overtime in Game 2. So I think it's going to be a really even series. I feel like it's going to go 6-7. Justin, I'll start with this, though. What do the Bruins have to do to win this series?
For the Bruins, for them, they can't beat themselves because period 2 and Game 2, they were awful. Just that was as bad a period I think I've ever seen the Bruins play in a big game like that. Just turnovers. They gave up 2 or 3 goals in that period. It just, Rask missed a shot, or he tried to make a glove save, and it just, he kind of just whiffed on it. He just kind of just missed it. Something, Jeremy Lazard, puck bounced off his skate and went into the net. Just things you don't see the Bruins make, type of game. And if they don't beat themselves, they should be able to beat the Islanders because they are the better team. They have more talent than the Islanders. Yeah,
the Islanders really don't. They have a great coach, but they don't really have any notable players. Really, that's the thing with the Islanders.
Yeah, it's like
I said this last year too. They've been really good the last 2 years. They've had no real notable great player.
Oh yeah, it's kind of been it's just been it's been Barry Trotz. He makes adjustments, and they don't really, it's a team where they somehow win games where they shouldn't, and they don't beat themselves very often. Yeah, Barzell's I wouldn't even call Barzell a superstar. He had a good year, but they just have anybody can beat you. Kyle Palmieri's been a very nice pickup from Anaheim. He's played well in the postseason that they traded for, but he's not even a superstar. So yeah, they just have guys that are just kind of step up each night, and they do enough. So yeah, they don't have talent. The Bruins have a more talented team than they do, and I definitely
especially with Taylor Hall.
Oh yeah, Hall, and I think when he came over too, the Bruins offense really sparked. He played well. I think he had a big hit too, game 2 right in the first period. So yeah, Hall's been able to help that. The perfection line, that line 1, Prosenak with that with the hat trick in game 1. That that line has really made an impact in that series, and that line continues to be able to put up points. I think they had a couple more points in game 2. If that line continues to get going, or continues to play well, the Islanders is really going to have a tough time winning this series, because when that line's on, it builds off of for the other line. So for the Bruins, just don't be themselves. That perfection of line 1, continue to play well, and takes off. Obviously takes off Pritchard from the other 3 lines, and it just helps the Bruins for a whole.
Yeah. So what do the Islanders have to do to win this series?
For them, they played well in the power play. They got 3 power play goals in the series already, because for them, when it's 5-on-5, it's really, for the most part, felt like the Bruins have controlled most of the chances, most of the opportunities. So they need to capitalize on their chances when it's an odd man. When again they have more men on the power play, or even like an odd man rush. They got to be able to capitalize on that. When they have a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, they got to be able to put it in the back of the net, find a way to score. Also, continue to play physical. Both teams are very, very physical. I think it's the team that uses their body more. It just wears the other team down. I think it's gonna be able to win this series. Continue to play physical, and then and then the last thing is too, in game 3 tonight, capitalize on being at home. The Nassau Coliseum, I think they're gonna expand it to 12,000 tonight, I believe. So
you mean tomorrow night?
Yeah, tomorrow night. Yes. Get the first goal. Get that crowd going. Keep them engaged. Get off to a fast start tonight. For the Islanders, and put the pressure on the Bruins.
Absolutely. So who you got in the series? I got the Bruins in 7.
I'm going to take the Bruins in 6. I think the Bruins be able to do enough. I think they will. I think the Bruins are going to be able to do enough. I think they just have too much talent for the Islanders. Again, Barry Trotz done a great job, and I love to see the Islanders knock them off, but I think the Bruins are just a better team.
So as Ranger fans, honestly, this is a little weird. I'd actually rather see the Islanders win. I don't like to root for a Boston team against a New York. I don't like to root for a Boston team against a New York team, and I think the Islander fans deserve it. They've been waiting a long time to win a Stanley Cup. The Bruins, they've had enough chances, and they won a cup in 2011. The Islander fans have been waiting for years, and Boston has won way too many championships for me. So I want to see the fans in the Island get a title.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Islanders. I'd love to see them win. After Tavares left, you thought it was going to kind of be reset all over again, but it really hasn't. And they've been great. I love Barry Trotz. I think he's a heck of a coach. He's done a great job in this league. So I'd love to see the Islanders get one. Yeah, get back to the cup, because it has been a while. And those for those fans to get a cup would be great for the especially the last year in Nassau Coliseum. That would be really, really special.
Absolutely, I love that. That's the thing. And to win it, imagine they win it at Nassau Coliseum. That would be great, because those fans are so loyal, and that's such a historic building, because those teams in the '80s, they won those Stanley Cups at the Nassau Coliseum in that building. So that'd be great to see. Even though as a Ranger fan, it'd be great to see the Islanders win in that building, to win a Stanley Cup in that building in their last year.
Oh yeah, 100%. For that fan base to close it out there before they move to Belmont Park, which looks like a beautiful arena. It'd be special to close out that arena like that, and close out Nassau. to get that cup for the first time in a long time. So, yeah, the Islanders really play well at home. They have a great fan base. Even when they're losing, they're great. So, yeah, I'd love to see them get a cup here to be great for the fans.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up for Sports Talk with R&J. For our producer, Jace Garcia, who did a great job. And for Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. Do not forget at 3 o'clock is the Posting Up Podcast, and I will be on the Posting Up Podcast today, so make sure you check that out. But we'll be back next week recapping Yanks Sox, talking NBA playoffs, and talking NHL playoffs and any NFL news that comes our way. So enjoy Yankees, Red Sox, everyone, and the NBA playoffs, and have a great weekend.
Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
It's off to Leonard. Defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
High fly ball, right field. Grossman back, track, wall, see ya! Into the second deck! A grand slam the other way for Aaron Judge, and the Yankees are pouring it on!
For the latest news throughout the sports world, tune in to Sports Talk with R&J every Wednesday at 1 p.m.